Gary, you still live here in town?
Yeah. Did you have a bad drive today from West Florida?
It was awful. I mean, it was awful, Gary.
I mean, it's not bad.
You want to talk about it for a while?
But if you came about 8, it had to be.
I didn't quite get in at 8. So
This vehicle's probably bigger than the Camry that you drove.
I think we got 8 inches of snow last night, though, didn't we? Isn't that what they said? Yeah. So biggest one in a while.
Talk about the first meeting. You guys had a good day. What you've seen from West Virginia since that meeting?
Well, we had a really good last 25 minutes. You know, they controlled the game. The first 10 to 15 for sure. I think they had us down 8 early, and then we played really well, especially second half. And I thought we got out in transition. I thought we rebounded the ball decent. I thought we guarded their 2 best players pretty well. Curry went nuts on us, but I think that we played pretty well. And you know, I talked to Hugs the other day, not about anything directly involved with games, but you know, he kind of can have a voice of sarcasm in mid-February from time to time, as most coaches can. But you know, they've been right there to win games. You know, they could have easily won at Baylor. They could have won at K-State. You know, there's been more games that they could have won, and you know, just didn't quite close probably the way that they had hoped. But you know, for whatever reason, you know, we've this has probably been the hardest place for us to win in the league since they've been in the league, and I think we probably had the worst record against them as anything. So you know, we're definitely approaching this as a must-win game for us, and one in which we know we'll have to play very well to do so.
How much of Taz's struggle in that one with you guys, and how much is him?
With what now?
Taz Sherman in that game.
With Taz,
Yeah.
I think you know, I'd like to say we did a decent job on him and McNeil, but I think a lot of times when you're dealing with scores, you miss the same shot you make, or you make the same shot you miss, and that determines whether or not you did a good job on them or not. So I think the thing with those two is, you know, limit their good open looks and try to take away as many opportunities for them to get to the free throw line, for them to have, you know, naked looks, for them to get to their spots. And then if you do that, then sometimes you play good defense and good scorers still score. And I think those were games where it's probably a combination. We did a good job, but also maybe a combination where they didn't have their best games as well.
Coach, K-State shot 39 free throws, and part of that due to the fact they made a lot of front ends. But West Virginia, I mean, they had 23 fouls, which isn't a huge number necessarily to go with the 39. But what do you see when you watch them guard this year?
Well, I see a lot of the same things we've always seen. They're just real aggressive on the ball. I mean, if you take good care of the basketball and you're strong with the ball, then, you know, there's obviously opportunities for them to foul, just like there is for everybody. The problem is when you get a little loose with the ball and then they smell blood, you actually foul less and are more aggressive. And they've obviously done that to us, especially at their place as well. So I don't see them guarding a lot different than the past. I see them maybe hot pressing less than maybe what they have done when they had, you know, Miles and Carter and some of those dudes. But I still think they're ultra aggressive. And you know, I'm not, you know, the free throw numbers are a little bit misleading to me because 23 is a big number, but it's not massive. And so that tells me the first 6 fouls they had were all shooting fouls, and the ones after those were probably front ends. And that's how you shoot more free throws. You know, if you're going to pick fouls to mean something, have them be shooting fouls before the bonus. I haven't studied it that close, but I would imagine with those numbers, that's what's happened. That's what happened in Manhattan.
Let me ask you a follow-up to that. And when Huggins did his post game the other night, there were several times, and I rarely heard you say this, but he said, I want to look at the video and see what the replay looks like. When you're eye level on the court and there's 13 guys out there, 3 refs running around, how hard is it to see everything that's happening at one time? Because there's a good chance that you're going to get screened.
Well, if you're asking me as a coach, you should get screened because you're not allowed the same maneuverability on the court as what an official is. Official can move around to make sure he doesn't get screened. Coaches can't really do that if you're looking, 50 feet away or something like that. So, I think what Bob said is accurate. You should always look at the film because a lot of times when you look at the film, you can see that maybe I mean the coach was a little off on what I thought I saw or what we thought our staff saw. Or you can also say that from an officiating standpoint, it could be inconsistent, but you could also, more likely than not, at least with me, say that, at worst is probably a 50-50 call that didn't go your way when you don't believe that at the time. So, and Hugs has been around it a long time. So he's had his benefit of good whistles and he's had his benefit of not. And we've all been in that road. And so I'm not going to get into that because overall it's a ridiculously hard game to officiate. And maybe more so in our league than any league, because I don't know if any leagues is as physical as our league.
Holistically, just had about 5 games now where his role expanded in that time.
I think he's done fine. I do. I think he's done fine. He can be more aggressive with the ball. And we talked about that and showed him on tape when he can do those things. Like a lot of times if Joe can't go score, he then says, oh, and then the possession's over for him. Rather than, no, he can still create pace by, just doing something else. And he's learning that and he's doing fine. And I'm happy with him. And I think he's given us some really good minutes over the last month or so.
When you look at this team where you're at, how do you evaluate how good you are? I mean, is it potential in March? Is it your record? Is it personnel?
I probably think less about the record, about how good we really are, although the record matters tremendously on seeding and things like that. I probably think about what would bother us, what we would struggle with potentially. So I look at it more from probably not how good we are, but more less on what we have to do to get better from where we are. Because I do think there's some things that naturally, every coach knows his team. And there's some things out there. I'm hoping the team does not guard us that way. In my mind, I'm hoping that, and I think everybody does those things. But one thing about our league plays a style that is hard to score against. You don't get a lot of shots early in the possession, very physical and things like that, which I think would be great preparation for whoever we go against next. But, we still ain't gone against a Syracuse type zone and things like that. So I think those type of things would be good prep for us, even though you try to work on it and be as prepared as you can. But I like our team. I think we need about 2 more weeks for me to probably really see exactly where I think we are. But right now we're in great shape record wise, but we're 5-1 in games under 3 points. That can be 3-3 too, real easy. So in my mind, we should be 6-0, but in other people's mind, we could be 2-4. So, to me, when it comes down to 1 or 2 possessions, isn't really a good gauge that we're better if we make a shot or we're worse if we miss a shot. So I still think there's some things that we have to do to tighten up before we get to postseason.
Have you had many teams that you felt like had this kind of room?
Oh yeah. I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. I think so. A lot of times, room for improvement is sometimes in people's minds based on what your record is. So, last year, our team got a lot better, but it wasn't quite as big a jump as what a lot of people thought it was because the schedule tipped to our favor. There were some things that happened but last year's team won 9 of its last 10 going into the NCAA tournament or whatever. And we became really good defensively until the tournament when COVID hit us. But I think that team really improved a lot. I don't know if this year's team has that much room for growth just because I think we're a little further along than what last year's team was, but I do think there's room for growth though.
What about Bobby and Remy? Updates on health?
Bobby is going to be available for us to play unless something happens in the next 2 practices at West Virginia. So, but I don't know, his minutes will probably be limited. He's not healthy, but it's not a situation where he can hurt himself worse. So he just didn't, he's like Remy. It just hurts to play. So if we don't have to play, we won't. If we do, we will. It'll probably be a limited capacity. And Remy, I really don't know more other than the fact that, as of yesterday, he told me that he was definitely feeling better and he's doing more on the court, 1-on-0, and maybe can get into some type of practices at some time soon. But I still don't see an immediate return for him based on Thursday the 17th.
What about Jalen's migraine?
Yeah, I think it was, although migraines are serious, I think it was just a migraine though. So I think he's fine.
But one of the things, the many things that you've done in your career here, is your team's always, for the most part, win the games you're supposed to win. You don't slip up like it's easy to do. And there's exceptions, obviously, but you've had fewer than others. How do you get that consistency of getting your kids ready to play games that you're supposed to?
Well, first of all, I don't know that I do a good job of that, but I think that we've done a good job of having better players, and I do think players in the end win more than coaches do, without question. So we've had great personnel, but I've always believed the key to having great years is not the 1 or 2 big upsets or whatever. The key to having great years is if you're supposed to win, you take care of business. And we've actually been pretty good at that. We could obviously be better, but for the most part, we've been decent. And the other thing is, and of course, and it remains to be seen going into this game, but people talk about our home record. I'm probably most proud of what we've done away from home. If you go back and look at our league records away from home, I don't know if there's been 1 or 2 years where we were 4-5, and 4-5 on the road usually is a fantastic record. Now maybe not for a top 10 team, but for most teams, that definitely go to the NCAA tournament. So we've had a couple of years like that, but our record away from home, I think, has been pretty good. It's not because we play well on the road. This is what makes me nervous about our team, is because historically we made other people play poor at home. And I don't know that we have done that consistently defensively with this team yet.
Coach,
Take
you
it,
said
Tom.
Coach, you said a while back you weren't happy with the way your team was passing to the post. How would you evaluate where you guys are with that now?
Well, I think that we become more willing passers to the post because David's getting more touches. And I also think David's playing better, but I don't think you would ever evaluate our team and say we're great post feeders. If you want to look at a great post feeder, go watch Brady Morningstar. Brady Morningstar probably got less than 1 assist a game in transition, but probably got 5 assists a game just catching it, throwing to an open hand on the post. Those are things that we don't do as well as what I wish we did, but and maybe because we don't emphasize it as much as we used to, because we play so differently now. But I think that we are getting better at looking at, first thing before you can feed the post, you got to at least look at him. And I think that we're getting better at looking at him and then giving David an opportunity to touch.
Played, you started a lot of minutes. capable of doing that. They all probably want to be out there. What do you need or want from your bench?
Well, I like to move the minutes down, especially for two players, especially for Oach and Juan. I personally think Jalen and CB can play all day. I think those two play, Juan's body type and Oach's quick bursts and efforts and everything. I think it's hard to play as many minutes, even though Oach leads the Big 12 in minutes played. So it'd be nice to reduce those some. But on the flip side, when you get into postseason, I don't want to say bench is overrated because it's not if you have injuries or foul problems. But time, guys can play longer in the postseason because the timeouts are so long. And so, and like we played Saturday, Monday, and guys played extended minutes. But heck, I didn't let them do anything Tuesday or Wednesday. So today's the first day back. So, we should have fresh legs going into West Virginia.
Coach, this kind of follows that. And Fran was talking about it on Big Monday, kind of a tangent about margin of victory is important in net rankings now, and it changes the way coaches manage minutes at the end of a game. Is that even a consideration in your head on getting Ochai off the floor? Hey, we got to win by 26, not 14.
No. But I actually agree with what Fred's saying. And I do believe that people feel that way. I'm not one that feels near as strongly that way. The thing about it is that there's a lot of things that go into different things, and everybody's got their own opinion. When you play well, it's nice to end the game knowing you played well. The other day, we're up 21 with a minute and a half left. We win by 14. I don't think that that's any form and fashion that we played our starters too much. We could have kept them in a little bit longer, to be honest with you. So at least in that one situation. So we've had numerous times here that we've won a game at home, and the margin goes from 20 to 11 or 20 to 12 in the last 2 minutes, and you leave out of here feeling a little bit like we didn't do as well as what we actually did. And so that goes into play too. You want guys to feel good about themselves too. So I think that our closing the games can be better, regardless if it's starters or regardless if it's reserves in there down the stretch. But as far as there are so many possessions in a season that could potentially impact efficiency. So if you have 1,500 possessions and you screw up 3 more, it's not going to really affect your efficiency rankings very much this time of year. So although I do know it's important, I don't feel it's important enough that we alter how we close a game out based on trying to play to the computer programs out there to determine if we won pretty enough. I still value winning as the biggest thing. And then, if you play your guys a minute too long or something like that, then we do that. But I don't think we've done that very often. I think a lot of people would say we sub too early, to be real candid with you.